Well, all of us are.
See what time it is? Like Vegas in here. That's what put the clock up. Keep the lights on 24/7. I won't go outside.
If anybody can see the clock on the wall, it's gone. Okay, that's it. We're done. Hello, John. Hey, down there. Good to see you. Betty, how you doing? Brian, Andy. Yeah. All right, welcome everyone. This is our February work session. We'll start off by talking about our presentations that we're going to have on Thursday. Lloyd?
Yeah, thank you, Mr. Mayor. Both these items will be taken care of on Thursday evening.
All right, very good. Um, Unfinished business, consider approving public art master plan for Concord. So I'm going to pass that over to Andy, who's been sort of heading us in the right direction. Is that right, Andy? All right. So how do you want to proceed with this today? Can tell us about how we,
Thank you. I emailed, and you have in front of you a hard copy of a summary of this. We have talked in private among our council about whether the approval of the public art master plan commits the city to any specific dollar amount of funding and any specific staffing. And I just want to be clear, the document that is before us that we're being asked to vote on does not include either of those. They will be under the regular order of how we do things here. I suspect a year from now, a public art commission may bring to us an annual plan that will be considered at our annual budget meeting. And at that point, the council will decide what to do with that. And Lloyd makes decisions about staffing. That's been made very clear to me. We don't do that. We don't tell him what to recommend. So I hope that we approve both of these. I think we've had over 600 people support it. We've interviewed lots and lots of people, lots and lots of groups, and find affirmation. So I hope that we pass both of these on Thursday.
All right, I will open council for just questions and comments if you have any.
I really don't have any questions. Andy and I have, I guess, spoke several times on this, but I think this is a good thing. Number one, we spent the money to go ahead and have the study done. The study said not to not do this. It just said do this, in fact. So I think this is the right thing to do. I think, number one, I'm a big supporter of arts and the Art Council and everything that we'd like to do. There's not enough of that here, in my opinion. It doesn't represent us very well in our community on any part of it, downtown specifically, as we grow our downtown and actually reinvent it. I think art needs to be a part of that. I would highly support this and will continue to do such. I think one of the things also I think this does, it puts a cohesiveness to anything about art or whatever happens in our community. It's been like little satellites floating around. All of a sudden the Averett mural showed up. I'm not even sure how that happened, to be honest with you, but it did. That's a good thing, but how did it get there? There's no roadmap and no map about how things are done and how much monies are committed. And we would still vote on the monies, which we all know that would happen. And I think it will give a sort of a map and a plan of how we will commit art to any place in the city. So I think it's a good thing.
Okay, thank you. Any other comments, discussion?
Well, Mayor, I second that with Terry. I think it's going to bring us more together in a good way and be representative of LGBTQ, Latino, as we mentioned here, and I like the way we've presented this, Black, Asian as well, Indian, any cultures that we have in our community be better represented, I think. And it'd be something that brings more inclusiveness to our community. We're not known for shutting people out or not having that inclusiveness, but we would certainly want to be a place where people can come to as a melting pot that's good for the community. So.
Okay. All right. That's, without further discussion, item 2 will be consider adopting the bylaws of the newly created Public Art Commission. Anything to add there's different? Same thing. Any other comments? All right, believe it or not, there are no public hearings this month. So we'll move to presentation of petition and requests. Number 1, consider authorizing city manager to negotiate and execute a contract with Fitfields.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Calling Sheila from Parks and Rec Department to come up and present this item to council.
Good evening, Mayor. This bond project has been identified in Group 1. The master plan was adopted by council in September. Parks and Recreation is requesting approval to authorize the city manager to execute a contract with Fit Fields, which is a part of Dodd Studios, in the amount of $303,600. This contract will be for schematic design, geotechnical site work, architectural design, design plan development, construction documents. The areas include Webb Field, which includes 1 diamond, 1 rectangle field, restroom, press box, concession stand, and storage. McAllister Field, which is 1 diamond, storage, restroom. Gibson Field, which is 1 diamond, concession stand, restroom, and storage. As a part of the project, staff will continue to update the neighborhood and citizens on the project and timeline. I'll be glad to answer any questions.
Okay, when I look at your picture, the top is Webfield.
McAllister
Let's guess at
Field
the middle.
is McAllister Field. And that's, you get to that off of Kroll.
Correct.
And then the bottom one is Gibson Field.
Okay. Everybody clear with where that is? Any questions?
I have a question.
Go ahead.
The 2 press boxes, are they in addition to the one that is already there?
There is actually a total of 3 press boxes, but we believe we only need 2 press boxes, one for the web field and the baseball field, and then we'll need one at Gibson Field.
Okay, gotcha. Okay, thank you.
And it looks like the footprint itself is really not changing, it's just more of an update in this portion of Gibson, right?
Yes.
Or this portion of the overall plan is more of an update and kind of.
the buildings,
Yeah.
making sure they are an adequate storage for equipment and for future uses.
Okay. Any other questions, comments? All right.
All right,
Thank you very much. Number 2, consider authorizing city manager to negotiate and execute a contract with Talbot Bright and Ellington.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Dirk will come forward and present this item to council.
Yes, good afternoon. This time I'm in order. So Mayor, members of council, Mr. Payne, Ms. Kolchinsky, Ms. Deason, we are requesting at this time authorization for the city manager to execute a professional service agreement with TB&E to proceed with the land acquisition within the Misty Wood subdivision as we discussed during the planning session back last month.
All right. Thank you. Questions? Yes, Andy.
I went out there. We have a good friend who lives near this site, and she drove me by this. I think this is a good plan. I think this works. It solves some of our needs, so I'm very supportive of this.
All right.
Thank you.
No more comments? All right, thank you. Number 3, considering awarding a surveying service to prepare transmission line easements.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I call on Alex. He's going to cover items 3 and 4 for council this evening.
Yes, sir. Good evening, Mayor, members of council, Mr. Payne, Ms. Kolchinsky, Ms. Deason. Electric staff received 7 requests for qualifications on December 16th, 2022 for surveying services to prepare transmission line easement plats along Rock Hill Church Road. Electric staff reviewed the submitted proposal and selected Lawrence Associates based on qualifications. Electric system staff requested a proposal from Lawrence Associates for the surveying services. We received the proposal on January 16th for the amount of not to exceed $121,900. Any questions?
Questions from council? All right. Number 4.
Oh, I'm sorry. Electric system staff received bids on January 19, 2023 for electric distribution materials required for the construction of distribution lines, also called underbuild, on the Delivery 3 to the Delivery 4 tie line, which will run parallel to Concord Parkway South and connect the 2 new delivery stations. These materials include wooden poles, conductors, switches, miscellaneous hardware that will all be used in the construction of the distribution lines. 2 bids were received and evaluated for responsiveness and compliance with technical specifications. Electric staff determined that the lowest bidder, Westco Distribution, was responsive and compliant in meeting with required specifications. The total bid amount from Westco is $627,810.02. Any questions?
I see the delivery time is 39 weeks. How long do you think before this is completed?
Probably first quarter of '24. That's what we're shooting for. Yes, sir.
Thank you. Any
Or
questions?
early second quarter. Yes, sir.
All right. Thank you very much.
Yes, sir.
Number 5, consider authorizing city manager to negotiate and execute a contract addendum with Selco.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I call on Jeff. He's going to cover items 5 and 6 on your agenda this evening.
Good afternoon, Mayor, Council, Mr. Payne, Ms. Kolchinsky, Ms. Deason. Item number 5 is a contract addendum with Selco Partnership, which is basically Verizon Wireless's attachment to our downtown water tank. We've had a relationship with them on that tank since about 2006. They are reviewing all of their contracts, and they have, you see in your attachment, they would like to extend this agreement for potentially a significantly long amount of time. So you see the proposed terms in there, and we're asking that you allow us to move forward with the manager to negotiate and execute that addendum.
All right, Jeff, thank you. Any questions? All right, thank you. Number 6, consider authorizing city manager to negotiate and execute a contract with the Kim and Creed.
All right, this is an existing design contract for design services on our Highway 29 water pump station there at 29 and George Lyles Parkway. We did have an addendum 1 of just over $33,000 that was already approved at the manager level. This second addendum takes us over that $50,000 total threshold, which is why it's before you. So we're asking that you allow us to proceed with addendum number 2. That will bring the total design contract to $407,599.
All right, any question from council?
Mayor, may I ask a quick question about 5? When we do these lease contracts, does that go to the general fund or does it stay in the enterprise? Is that direct, do you know?
I believe that goes into our general revenue account within water, is my understanding.
Yes, what?
Yeah.
Okay, got it. Thank you, Jeff. Just curious. Thank you.
All right, any more questions?
Thank you.
All right. Number 7, consider preliminary application for Britt Calder.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I call on Sue to present this item before council.
Mayor, council members, Mr. Payne, Ms. Kolchinsky, this is a request at 5117 Roberta Road for sewer. Roberta Road is, at this location, splits our service area. So Concord service area is on one side, Harrisburg service area is on the other side. In speaking with Harrisburg, they do not have any sewer to serve this parcel, and so they're telling Concord, if you want to, Concord, you can serve them. It's not anything that they would prevent. The applicant indicates that it's an older septic system. I spoke with him on the phone. He says their family has grown. They've pumped out the sewer tank, but they still have very slow draining fixtures. And so that's his request, is to connect to the sewer.
And just to be clear, this is in Harrisburg.
It is in Harrisburg, so we would not be able, because we have annexation agreements, we would not be able to annex.
Okay, whose sewer allocation is this using?
Well, we wouldn't be allocating because it's a single-family home, so it doesn't require a actual, we don't have to give them a flow acceptance because of the,
Under the
right,
number.
it's under the
Okay.
threshold.
So this doesn't impact our,
No, I mean, it counts at the end, right? Obviously, if they connect, then it counts to the end. And typically, a single-family home, I don't know how many bedrooms, but,
Yeah.
200 gallons a day, 240.
questions?
Go ahead, Jason.
Just curiosity, how do we have sewer lines in Harrisburg and they don't have sewer lines? How does that work?
Well, in Roberta Road, we have sewer lines because we serve
The other side.
the other side of the road,
Okay.
and they're just not out that far yet.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Any more questions? All right. Thank you. Before we move on to consent agenda, is there anything we need to pull out of this consent agenda?
I don't want to pull anything out, but I can ask a question about it without having to pull it out, right? Just a general question? Or do I need to email it?
What's the?
If you're gonna discuss it in open session, it needs to be pulled off.
Yeah. Okay.
Hey, before we move on, can I make a recommendation about something that's on the consent without pulling it? Is that
Well,
something that's
I'm gonna do,
Yeah, if you're gonna talk about the consent items, they have to be put onto the regular agenda, which is not a big deal. It's
I mean, if you just say, I like to move it over. If you'd like to move it over to the regular.
It's no big deal. Just move it
Yeah,
up to
just,
the
yeah,
regular agenda.
Just say.
Okay, and my question or my comment or recommendation is that it may be too late for the 2024 holiday schedule, but for the 2025, have we given consideration to making Juneteenth a city holiday?
To my knowledge, that has not been discussed by council. And of course, any holidays, paid holidays for city staff would have to be considered and voted upon by council. So certainly staff's open to that. We just have not had that discussion.
Just to be clear on the way you did that, we don't have to do anything with that because you're talking about next year. Yeah.
And so I'm going to ask a general question that has nothing to do with the consent agenda.
Okay, that sounds like something you can do.
So our rules about selling land to people or entities we can pretty much, without having to go out to bid, if we're going to nonprofit, it's sort of like a donation type situation, correct? Like in general?
That's a little bit complicated and might be a discussion for just the two of us offline.
Okay.
The answer is sometimes, and it depends. And
But
it's-
when we sell property, generally, we have to go out
do
for a
an
public bid.
advertisement, Yes.
Yeah. And
there are
There
also
may be situations where we're not doing that, and I need to know why.
there are certain situations where,
Okay.
if the city is selling, property in its capacity, the city council's capacity as the housing authority.
Okay.
That's a different statute.
That's what I thought. I just had a sort of a, it's just an educational thing for me to understand.
Gotcha.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Good question.
Thank you.
So, it depends.
All right. If anyone has anything to add to our second work session, I think we have a pretty good agenda we're putting out, but if you have anything else to add, you need to do it by Thursday. That said, council have anything else to discuss before we have a motion to go into closed session? All right, is there a motion to go into closed session, move that we go pursuant of NC General Statute 143-318-11A4 in order to discuss the location or expansion of industries or other businesses in the area served by this public body?
So moved.
I'll second.
Motion is second. All in favor, raise your hand. Thanks, everyone. Boy, that's the quickest we've had. 18 minutes.
Is your lease longer than 10 years? It needs to be advertised.